Alright guys, today we're going to do a very quick comparison between the Vivo X300 Pro against the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Primarily in the camera section, we just want to see like which device is actually doing a slightly better job and how do they stack up, because they're really very strong here. Not only do we have one of the strongest ever camera systems from the Apple division, but we also have the Vivo over here with its Zeiss collab and all that. And of course, you guys already know how strong the camera is. So I just thought, why not pit both side by side, see how they perform in terms of photos taken during the day, during the night, portraits, subject detection, very important. Also video, we're not forgetting about video. So we'll do all that very quickly later on. And of course, I'll sum it up real quick with a couple more features that I like about the Vivo X300 Pro and why I think this might actually be a very solid reason for you to consider at the end of 2025 or maybe even moving to 2026 as a flagship of your choice. Now let's begin the video right away and see those results. So based on the results that I'm getting here, as you can see, they're both great at daytime shots. I mean, obviously that's going to be the easiest for them. The only thing I noticed right here is just in terms of the color temperatures, where it's slightly warmer on the iPhone, it's a little bit cooler on the Vivo. Now the differences start to become more obvious when you actually start to zoom in. So for 8 times, I think both devices actually do a great job here. But again, you can already see that the Vivo X300 Pro is edging ahead just in terms of retaining better clarity, better contrast levels, just being able to see the photo and being able to share. Now it gets even more obvious when we zoom in all the way to 40 times, which is the maximum of what the iPhone can do. Now over here, it's almost night and day difference between the Vivo as well as iPhone. Not only can you actually make out what word is on a building that's extremely far away, but if you really just want to push the limits of what a zoom can do, the Vivo X300 Pro can go all the way to 100 times and you can still read the word on that building. So just in terms of zoom capabilities, you guys already know that really is a strong feat of the Vivo X300 Pro. Alright, now let's move on and check out some night photos. Now just in terms of night photos, again, I think they are actually very, very strong and very close in terms of the performance that they are getting. Again, just like the daytime shots, the iPhone produces pictures that are a little bit warmer, whereas the Vivo produces pictures that are a bit more cooler. Now, again, if you really want to nitpick over here and find out which is actually doing a better job, we actually can zoom into the logo or the banner at the top of this building here. You notice that Vivo actually has better control by not overexposing the entire logo. And even during my past travels, the Vivo X300 Pro has always been very strong when it comes to taking night photos. So definitely this is one of the best night cameras that you can get today. Alright, so that's just in terms of the night photos, guys. Now, let's talk a bit about portraits, because portraits is something that I think a lot of you guys out there would also be taking a lot, especially when you're traveling, when you're hanging out with your friends or family. So in this case, we did a portrait test. Now for the results, let's start off with the iPhone. Now over here, you can see that the iPhone shots are extremely realistic. If you're looking for something that looks, again, very true to life, that's where you will get on the iPhones. Now if you take a look at what Vivo is doing for portraits, over here you might see a slight beautification going on. It's ever so slightly, and you can actually turn it fully off if you want to. For me, I just wanted to see how we can actually go and make a photo a bit better. In this case, I think I actually do a pretty good job. But the most obvious difference I noticed here is in terms of the subject detection. So the iPhone actually still struggles to keep a proper background blur around my hands as well as my fingers. So in this case, I think Vivo did a better job and it was a consistent result across a lot of portraits that I took. Now moving on, let's talk a bit about the video capabilities, like just in terms of stabilization, because that's one thing that a lot of other smartphones struggle with. So let's have a side-by-side comparison here between the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Alright, so this is a quick video test between the Vivo and the iPhone. This is my current walking speed, and here's a couple of cars for y'all to check out. Let me know which is more stable, or if they are both equally stable. Yeah, check out these guys over here. Whew. So many different colors. Silver, black, dark purple as well. And this one's here in this matte gold colorway. Alright guys, so now that we have seen the side-by-side comparison, I would say that personally, I think the iPhone is doing a fantastic job with the video. You can see that everything is very stable. You barely see any jitters going on here and there. The Vivo takes a different approach by actually zooming in a little bit more. That's actually to enable an even more stable shot. So I think both devices are doing a fantastic job when it comes to video as well as stabilization. But you can see how Vivo is actually really putting in a lot of effort to ensure that the video is still a very strong capability of the phone itself, not just in terms of the cameras. Alright, so now that we're done with the camera comparison between the Vivo as well as the iPhone, we can already see that again, both produces great pictures, but the Vivo just edges out in terms of the zoom, better night control, and of course, better portraits. Now let's move on and talk a bit more about a couple of things that I really like about this device after using it for so many months now. Okay, actually 2 months. So let's start off with the chipset. Now, of course, we do have a very strong MediaTek chipset on board, and in this case, I was actually able to game very smoothly on most of my favorite games. Now, this is definitely the strongest from MediaTek, and I think it's a chipset that's really good at handling heat, especially if you're gaming for a very long period of time. Of course, if you're just navigating throughout your phone, you're not a gamer, everything is just going to fly, and it's always great to have the latest chipset on board because it's going to support everything, every app that you do at the best performance. Another thing that I noticed was really good on the vivo X300 Pro was in terms of its battery life. Now again, they've got a very large battery on board, and of course it also supports fast wired as well as wireless charging. And I've been taking a lot of photos throughout my many trips across Asia, and I noticed that the battery life is just something that has been really strong on the vivo X300 Pro. Furthermore, just in case if you run out of juice, obviously you can charge it up very quickly. The charger is provided in the box. Now moving on, what I also really like about the X300 Pro here is definitely the display at the front. Now this might be something that's really underappreciated by most. Every time you just use your phone, you take the display for granted. But in this case, we have this really nice flat display, which again is great because no accidental touches whatsoever. It's really smooth, it gets very bright, and of course the bezel surrounding it is very slim and almost symmetrical. So great display at the front as well. Finally, we've also got the brand new Origin OS that's again on board the all-new vivo X300 Pro. This is the first time Origin OS is coming over to the global devices, and I think it's a very nice refresh compared to the FunTouch OS that we were getting before. Not only do you get a more matured system over here, but there's also a lot of seamless integration with other devices, even the iPhones. Yep, you can now also send files sort of like AirDrop over from the Vivo to the iPhone or other Apple devices. So that's pretty cool there as well. And overall, just to sum it up real quick, I think the vivo X300 Pro is actually a very solid flagship. Now we just take a look at the price for context. This guy is going for RM4699, and that nets you the 512GB variant, and Vivo is throwing in a lot of freebies along the way. If you even want to play with the telephoto kit, the big zoom lens, you can also have the option to do that if you are a very serious photographer. Now, we just take a look at the iPhone 17 Pro Max. The same 512GB version would net you RM6999, and that's a huge price difference. That's not to say that it's a bad phone or anything like that. Of course, there's still a lot of iPhone users out there. But if you're just looking for a more affordable all-round flagship, which in some cases also performs very much better photos as well as videos, you might want to check out what the vivo X300 Pro is offering. Now let me know what you guys think about the vivo X300 Pro. Is this something that is already on your shortlist? Have you already bought one of these? Again, if you've bought one of these and you are a user of it, feel free to let us know your thoughts down below as well. And with that said, thank you for watching today's video all the way to the end, guys. I really hope you guys have a great end of the year and a great 2026. Let me know your thoughts about this device, and I very much look forward to seeing you all in the next one.